Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. It is a little after 8 p.m. Tuesday night out on the West Coast, so some of you are in bed already, dedicated to the cause. But listen, I want to talk to you about this ongoing battle that we have right now to preserve our Second Amendment rights, and more importantly, the opportunity we have to make major advancements in that with the current state of ATF, and in particular, the United States Department of Justice. But one of the things that when I'm geeking out with other content creators, or when I'm geeking out with some of the warriors out there that are in the trenches making these arguments, is the one thing I hear from everybody, and it's true, is what we really need is we need a lot more cooperation. We need everybody to have some skin in the game because, well, it's the only way we're actually going to preserve our inalienable rights. Now, it was our 33rd president, Harry Truman, who once said, "It's amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit." But sometimes credit is due, and that's exactly why I am doing a video at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night so that all of you on Wednesday can understand who deserves some credit. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about Magpul steps up big in defense of your constitutional rights. Okay, America, listen, I am privy to some information, and then some of the information is under protection order at this current time, so we're not going to comment on that. We're going to kind of take a 35,000-foot view. The case we're talking about is Capon v. Campbell. It is a challenge to Massachusetts assault weapon ban that is being brought by the good folks over at the National Association for Gun Rights, which of course means there's a link down below to show them some love. But the real purpose of this video is actually to give kudos, to give a big old attaboy to all the good folks over at Magpul who have stepped up big to cooperate with NAGR on this lawsuit. And it's a fun video to make because honestly, so frequently what we talk about here at Washington Gun Law is something rotten, terrible, sinister, or nefarious. And all of them have a tendency to be maddening. And yes, we have talked about this issue of, don't we really need more cooperation? Don't we need all the oars in the water kind of rowing the boat in the same direction? And the answer to that is yes. And so when you see a company step up big, well, they deserve some credit. And listen, we've only had this channel for a little over 4 years, so I'm kind of like the newcomer to this, but I have noticed that the Second Amendment community as a whole, not just the content creators, but the entire community, is incredibly cannibalistic. I mean, we will literally eat our own to get attention, or to get clicks, or to raise money. And when you think about it, it's pretty ridiculous because we're not just trying to preserve our Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. No, if you truly believe that your rights come from your creator, then the right we're defending here, the right we're preserving here goes far beyond the right to just keep and bear arms. It actually goes far beyond the right of self-defense. It is the most quintessential of human rights. It is the right of self-preservation. And so when you see companies who make their living off of that right finally step up and do something in defense of that, well, that should be commended. Let me explain to you the dilemma and why we need this cooperation. You see, in courts like the Massachusetts District Court, where they're just going to be hell-bent on upholding this ban, the problem that the court is going to run into, if they're intellectually honest, is the common use doctrine, right? Which means if it's in common use for any lawful purpose, self-defense being only one of them, it may not be banned. Translation, from a historical standpoint, the analysis has already been done. We only get to ban items that are dangerous and unusual. Well, we know when it comes to assault weapons, we know when it comes to high-capacity magazines, there's absolutely nothing unusual about it, right? But if you are a court that, again, is hell-bent on upholding these bans to use whatever creative new rule of law you can come up with, or any other creative mechanism to uphold this ban, well, one of the things you could rule is that the record that was established by the plaintiffs did not actually demonstrate that these items are in common use. And listen, I get it's like proving that the sun sets in the west, duh, right? But how many other crazy BS rulings have we talked about here on this channel in just a little over 4 years? Now, some of you may say, hey, well, listen, when it comes to magazines, you got that NSSF report, right? That was a real winner, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. Because if you go back and you take a look at the record in the Illinois cases, Harrell and Barnett and all that, ones that were just argued in front of the Seventh Circuit, you ought to see how bad this report got shredded and how, despite the fact that the judge gave this report no weight, the plaintiffs still prevailed there. So yeah, unfortunately, that report is not reliable from an evidentiary standpoint, especially for a court hell-bent on trying to throw a case out on a bad record. The only other way you could actually prove in common use would, of course, be through data that you could obtain from manufacturers, distributors, and retailers. So this is where we get to the stuff that's under protection order. But let's just put it this way. Magpul stepped up big time here. And listen, there's a lot of ways, if you're a plaintiff's lawyer, there's a lot of ways that you could have gotten this information. The most common way is through a subpoena. And of course, parties can choose to fight that, and it can get really, really ugly. And it goes contrary to the entire theme of this video. But instead, what we have now is we have a major manufacturer in the Second Amendment community working hand in hand with a major Second Amendment advocacy organization in current litigation. So listen, we say congratulations not only to Magpul, but to NAGR as well, because the two of you were able to form a relationship that is not only going to benefit lawful and responsible gun-owning Massachusetts residents, but ultimately all lawful and responsible gun owners nationwide. Oh, and then a final word. There obviously is a lot of other data that would be very, very helpful, not only in the case we're talking about today, which is Capon v. Campbell, but to all sorts of other litigation going on around the country, in particular in some of these states on this list right here, hell-bent on upholding these laws. Now, I can assure you that Magpul standing alone does not provide the data that any plaintiff's lawyer would need to make the proper challenges that need to be made, and more importantly, establish the correct record. So there are other companies where I am assuming that this information will be asked of you as well. It will, in fact, be very interesting, won't it, to see how you all respond to that. But the level of cooperation that we've seen from Magpul today, in my opinion, this is the way. Okay, listen, like I said, we got a link down below for NAGR that is leading the charge on this particular lawsuit. Kudos again to Magpul. Now listen, if you guys got any other questions, comments, or anything like that, you should know how to get a hold of Washington Gun Law by now, but if you don't, that's okay. That information is down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, you click on that link right there and you tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to the monthly newsletter, down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.